Alright, good afternoon. My name is Michael, and you're welcome. Today we are going to be looking at um, African culture and the crisis when it comes to relationship. The crisis the African people are facing as a people, and then how it the Western cultures have really affected us. And now, for a while, I had wanted to actually have this particular conversation, but due to one reason or the other, I couldn't come up with it, and then I didn't make that. So, but today, I really want to handle this conversation. I know it will be a little bit complex because of the sentiment and feelings involved when it comes to relationship, and the terms or the standard to follow. So, feel free to join me if you can see me right now. For those that will be joining us subsequently, feel free to drop your comments. And then this video will be made available on YouTube, so you can follow my channel on YouTube, Ayuba Michael AMT. So thank you very much for joining me. Now, before I go on with this topic, I said it's a little bit complex. Before I go on the topic, I want us to understand that over the years, there have been a little bit issue of conspiracy as to whether there is a fact or there is truly a statement allegedly to one of the richest men in the world saying that at least there is a need for about 2 billion people to die so that the population of the world can be balanced, and then he said that these 2 billion people that needs to go down should be people from Africa, because Africans are deplorable. They do not they are not honest enough. They do not contribute to world economy. I know a lot of things in that regard, and then a lot of us heard it, and then we just okay, it's just nonsense. You can't do anything. For a few of us, or some of us who believed in conspiracy theories, we actually saw things like Ebola, COVID, and so many other diseases as a means for which to actualize this statement. Now, however or whatsoever true this thing is or not, is something that one needs to actually critically look at, and then make analysis of, and then come to a logical conclusion whether there is true in that statement. One, it's another thing. And then, even if it is not true, has there been any step, indirectly or indirectly, to disorient the African people, to make sure that the population of Africa does not continue to blossom? Now, there are certain parameters I've seen on ground that I feel these are being engineered to control the population of Africa. And then I'll be talking about them, and then how these things have actually affected our relationship. I remember, I think about 3-4 years ago, I wrote an article. It was supposed to be a Christian article, later to Christian parents. That article was supposed to speak to Christian parents as to their responsibility to their children. And then, after writing the article, in the introductory part of the article, I tried to explain that certain concepts that has to do with civilization, that have to do with westernization, have actually affected the concept of family and parent responsibility towards children in Africa. And I tried to explain that ideas like democracy, ideas like feminism, though at that time I didn't really mention feminism per se, but I mentioned westernization in that article. I still have that article, and I still really wish that I can get a good Christian magazine to publish it after I have improved it, or I've gotten an editor who will improve on it. But I think the article is very, very satisfactory and not enough when it comes to facts and finding. But most of the facts and finding in that article are actually biblically based. So I spoke and I said certain concepts have actually affected what we deem as family or family values. And then now relating it back to the reality on ground, whether there is truly a concern, or there is truly a concern by the power that be worldwide to reduce African population, is entirely a different thing. Now, how has this affected us? I will go by this narration. See, long ago, Africans usually marry so many wives, depending on the person's farming capacity and who he was. That's one. And then, apart from that, they marry many wives. Even if an African man was married to just one woman, he ends up having, sometimes most likely if he's blessed and then God blesses him with kids, you see 7, you see 5, you see one mother, one father with 6, 7 kids, 9. Some people even more than that. What happened there? Now, it didn't just stop there. The African man continued to blossom and then believe that with his number of kids, he will get more manpower and then you have a family that can work more, and then that means more workforce, more food, more prosperity. So the African society continued to thrive on that path. Then we had encounters with Christianity in the long run, and then it was like, oh no. You can't just keep marrying anyhow. In the beginning, God made them one man, one wife, and then we began to go in that direction. Remember that a man who would likely have 14 kids or 10 kids before, because he has 3 wives, 2 wives, 4 wives, has to just narrow down to one and then have. And then when it was narrowed down to one, okay, and then some of us began to accept Islam just like that, and then okay, no. Okay, and then I'm talking about Africa generally and not just Nigeria. So I'm not trying to teach you religious history. I'm just trying to make references to the fact. Okay, you can actually marry 4, tall, short, fair, black. 4, if you can actually take care of them and love them equally. I know that's at least in my introduction to Islam. So you could marry 4 different wives if you have the capacity and you can take care of them. So we got to that era. Now, you will realize that these 2 eras to an extent have placed on an embargo on the population growth of Africa to an extent. Because the man who would ordinarily marry 3 wives before will now marry 1. Please, if you're watching this video, I don't want you to be so religious. I don't want you to be so conservative in your approach to this discussion, so that you'll be able to see where I'm getting to, or I'm driving to the end of this video. So I hope you keep watching to the end. So now the man has to marry just how many? 1, and then maybe probably has 3, 4 kids, 5 max these days. And then they tell you, okay, I just want to take care of my kid. Now, to disorient and control the African population, you need to work on the family values. You need to rewire them. You need to rework them. That is what Westernization has done. That is what the European culture have done recently. They have reworked our culture. And then how did they do it? They introduce subtle ideas to us. Tell you, have 1 kid, make sure they are safe, you can cater for them and this. Now, to an extent, this is good. But they are not telling you that even with the 1 kid, even with the 1 child, they are telling you to have so that you can maintain them. They are still complaining about our population. Okay, fine. Since they told us, okay, marry just 1 wife. We have been doing fine with just the 1 wife. You're just married to only 1 wife. You are doing fine. Then I gave that no. There is a need for women liberation, because they realize that, okay, even if the woman was married to an African man, they're still going to give birth to the number of kids they want or they feel like. And they're like, no. There's need for women liberation. And what do they do? In the Americas, then the beach men started encouraging women, joining women movements that, okay, you are free, divorce. And then, have you realized that we don't longer have family cohesion or values in their world? A boy of 16 years will just walk out of his parent and tell them, I'm not having your shit anymore. Quotes. I'm not having your shit anymore. I don't want to deal with you anymore. Then he just walk out. The government makes such provision. And remember, they are into the habit of just having just 1 child per time. And I'm not trying to call them out regarding this. Now, I'm not trying to call them out. That, okay, it's their culture. If they want to have it, let them have it. But I just want you to see how what they do or what they are selling to us has actually affected us. Now, as a young man, when was the last time you met a lady that said she wants to have more than 2 kids? Have you noticed almost all our ladies at all levels, educated, illiterate, semi-educated, whatsoever level they are, employed, not employed, they just tell you they just want to have 2 kids. Have you wondered how we came about that idea? It is an idea that has been sold out Now, if all Africans begin to have only 2 kids, how do you think our population is going to become? Because they are afraid of the growth, our population growth, and then they're telling you that no. You just need to have 2 kids. So everybody wants to feel funky, elitist, and educated. So if you have a degree right now, you are talking about having 4 kids with a lady as a guy, or you're a lady, you are talking to a guy, you want to have 4 kids, 5 kids. It's like, wait. I think something is wrong with this person's education. So we have a problem. An idea has been sold to us, and remember I talked about issue of population control early part of this video, that some of them have opened that at least 2 billion people need to go. And if 2 billion people currently with the current population need to go, how do they go about making you not bring in more humans? So I don't want to even start going to the conspiracy of whether what we are taking is affecting our health or not, or whatsoever pandemics that are coming are aimed at testing the population control mechanisms. But I just want you to realize that over the years, our family lives have become so difficult. You don't even want to mention submission as we speak right now. In fact, so many pastors can't even talk about it, because if you talk about it, you are losing your population, you are losing the membership of your church. And if I'm not mistaken, Ephesians, relationship or marriage is supposed to thrive on 2 things, basically, that I know. The love of a man, because anybody who truly loves you will not touch you, will not harm you. And then God realizing that a man is so strong physically, put it upon him, put an obligation upon him to love. To what? Love, because that is what will make the relationship thrive. Because if the man truly loves you, you are protected, you are safe, and you are home and dry, like my lecturer will say. Then if the woman submits to you, if she submits to you, both of you are home and dry. Because a man who loves you, if you submit to him, everything will go smooth. A woman who submits to you and respects you, everything moves smooth. So our relationship was originally designed to thrive on this thing, because the man has strength. And we realize that the woman could be affectionate, but she might be affectionate but not willing to lie low. So it is now an obligation on both parties. The man who is strong and has the strength, you just have to love your wife irrespective of how you find her. And then as for the woman, you just have to submit to your husband irrespective of how you find him. Now, I don't want to go into the philosophy of how did you meet your spouse, whether he needs to earn your respect or not. But I just want to show you how these things play out. Now, what happened in our society is that we now have the idea of 2 kids. We now have the idea of if the man, after we enter the relationship, the man has to actually work to earn your respect. I actually put it on you, whom a man came to meet you, started talking with you, walked past the talking stage, took you out for dinners, called you morning, day, night, and then you said, okay, you have accepted the relationship. And then now he bought you gifts and all that. You said if he needs you to respect him, he has to actually work it out. Well, I see that's the problem on your part, because your value system has a problem. And it's your own problem, not the man's problem. For you to have accepted a man that you cannot respect, that he has to actually prove a point for him to win your respect, it's a conversation for maybe probably another year entirely. Because it's a problem now, affecting our relationship, affecting our family life. Now, I'm driving this point that it is these ideas that we have embraced from the Western world that makes our relationship difficult. Look at the number of divorce, look at the number of breakup, look at the number of issues of depression, suicide, and so forth. What brought them? Our relationship crashing, because there is a crisis as to whether we are Africans or we are actually Western. So this is what happened, that our family life has become so difficult and make responsibility hard. When you want to marry a typical African girl, or any girl now, especially, let's take for example in Nigeria, the lady wants you to observe all the traditional rites, all the custom, all everything. All right? She wants you to observe all the traditional rites. Good. I love it. Beautiful. It makes the man feel. It makes the man feel responsible, right? But you want the man to fulfill all these cultural obligations and religious obligations. but you want the man to treat you according to Western standards. And now there is a clash here. You might have not sat down to think of it, but it's a major form of our problem. In the West, a young man like me could just meet a lady and then we just go to one priest and he join her and just tell my mom, oh mom, I got married last week. Dad, I got married last week. And it's okay, it's fine, because that's their culture, they have that understanding. But in Africa, your extended family it cannot have it that you are married without their knowledge. In fact, I know in my culture, Bali culture, in fact, if you get a lady pregnant, you first of all pay for making her pregnant, or for getting her pregnant, sorry, and then you have to pay the bride price subsequently. So you have to pay for the wrong you have done to the family, then you now pay the bride price, and you will now fulfill all the rights. All right? So in doing that, to put you on track that, guy, you did the wrong thing, you should have come through the proper channel, which means you have to engage the family, the extended family, and even the community before you marry her. That's what happened in African culture. Now, every African lady that you know, almost all of them, or let me just say 90% of our ladies want these obligations fulfilled. Pay their bride price, observe all the cultural rites, whether they are godly or they are not godly or not, they want you to observe it. Then when you get to the marriage and wedding proper, they want all these things done. Then inside the marriage, they want you to live like Westerners. You want the man to follow the African perspective when it comes to paying your bride price, doing everything for you. But when it comes to responsibility or what you're supposed to do for the man, you want him to act like a Westerner. It's a problem. And this, the crux of my message today. It is either you choose the African perspective all through, or you choose the Western perspective. And the Western perspective is very cheap. If we were to go by Western perspective, everybody will be getting married. And they can't even control our population because, man, I'll just get one house, maybe in Umba or Pigadi, and then one room, and then just carry any lady there. But no lady will actually agree to that. But once you get married, our ladies want to be treated like Americans. You want the man to go out of his way, gather all his family members, make contributions, bring you in, do everything African, do everything religious. But when it gets to your responsibility as a wife, you want everything to become European. Now, this has a consequence on our population and our marriage and our relationships. We have not been able to distinguish which road we are taking or which route we want to follow when it comes to relationship. It is the mixture of the African culture and the Western culture that has now brought us this serious problem we are having right now. That marriages don't last up to a year. Marriages don't longer last. 6 months, people are already feeling they want to divorce. 1 year, they can't even stand each other. See, there is a problem in our orientation. There is a problem in our value system. There is a clash of culture ongoing. There is a clash of idea ongoing. And the Western civilization seems to be very, very firm and strong in destroying us. To the extent that we have not woken up to the reality to combat it. And one of the things that will make your relationship thrive is to discuss the conditions upon which you want your relationship to work. Is it from the Bible perspective wholeheartedly? Is it from the cultural perspective? Okay, if I'm marrying you, I'm observing our traditional rites. Our marriage is going to thrive on traditional principles alone. If I'm marrying you through the church, is our marriage going to actually thrive on biblical principles alone? If I'm marrying under the acts, is our marriage going to thrive based on the rules and principles of marriage acts? Upon which rules are we establishing our relationship and union? Once Africans are able to answer these questions, and once we are able to reach agreement as to which rules apply, and the problem is we start on another law or on another principle, we move to the next one. You start building your house as a bungalow, but eventually you are converting it as a duplex. All engineers and all sensible men know that you are going to have a problem in the long run. No matter how good you are, as far as the foundation was laid for a bungalow, it cannot carry a duplex. That is what happened to that is the problem we have with our relationship right now. We start as Africans, pay my bride price, do cultural dance, buy palm wine, buy kola nut, buy palm oil, do all these things. The way you now come, okay, I have married you, you are not my wife. Do the things that people that they buy kola nuts, groundnut oil, palm oil, groundnut oil, maggi, salt, goats, do to stay married. You refuse. You say the man needs to open door, he needs to open the car door, he needs to open the gate, he needs to fix the garden or the lawn, he needs to cook, he needs to help bath the kids. All these things, in fact, they are good. I don't have a problem with them. But the reason why our marriages cannot last and our relationship cannot last is because we did not really define. We did not really define. So all the marriage counselors are actually avoiding these things. And a lot of them will just come online and say, this boy doesn't know what he's talking about. True. To them, I don't know what I'm talking about, but if you are somebody who reads, you realize that the African history is actually undergoing a difficult phase right now. Being an African man is becoming difficult. Anytime you try to be an African man, you'll be insulted for being weak, for not being intending with the trends. What is the way forward? For your relationship, like you might have been in marriage, you might have been in marriage for a while, and then maybe you're having it rough and tough. It is now high time to call yourself together, call your wife, and tell them, do we want to actually be Africans? Or we want to be Europeans? And for those that are not yet married, it is now time to call yourself and tell yourself, wait, this lady I'm going out with, this guy I'm going out with, upon which principles can I move with him? Because we'll be having problems. Look at the problems we have in marriage. Look at the problems we have in marriage. Just analyze them. Some are even saying if they get married, they are not going to share the same room with their wives and husbands. Well, all right, God will help you. Some women, you see what they outline when it comes to what they want I have just concluded they want a slave. It's not a man. Because if it's a man you want, okay, under which perspective? Because some of the demands are just merely Western demands. They are just these things that Europeans have created and then they have pushed down to our skulls. And then you see us suffering, our marriages cannot last. And then they have not stopped there. They go ahead telling you we have 4,000, 5,000 cases of divorce every before the court registry in Abuja alone or in Lagos. Trying to make you feel like marriages cannot work. These facts are true that there are divorce cases before the courts. I'm a lawyer. A lot of them. But you realize that these people promote this thing subtly, that some of us Africans have actually entered into these ideas. I agree with them that such a way that we have now turned free agents. We promote these things without even effort. And some of us are good at sharing anything that has to do with destruction of marriage. Anything that has to do with a man cheated his wife, the woman cheated her husband. Exactly, that's what we are good at. But we do not realize that the essence of an African man, the essence of the Nigerian man, the essence that the things that made us who we are, the things that brought us this far, that we did not die in the hands of Europeans during the slave era, was our resolve to value our family and to value our people. We are headed towards an era where an African man wants to become individualistic. An African woman wants to become individualistic. They even come online and tell you, I don't need a man. Family system destroy, family values destroy. So what we have now is a society of individuals moving, ready to kill each other at every slight opportunity and to destroy. So the idea of the African woman now, or the African lady now, is how do I leave this man and get to take what he has? Because that is what is obtainable in the West. The idea of the African man now is how do I leave this woman successfully without losing anything? What is happening? What is happening to us? We can't even stay married these days. We are no longer committed to our relationship. Children want to walk away from their parent because they heard or they read or they saw in movies how a young kid walked out of their parent and he became rich and the parent regretted. Especially, that's just the perspective the West wants us to have. You see, once they succeed in destroying our family values, they are done with us. Any other thing can happen. Our leaders are so corrupt. We as individuals are so wicked to ourselves. Look at what the POS guys did to us when there was no cash, when there were no cash in Nigeria. Look at what the transport guys are actually doing to us. every single one of us is a problem waiting to happen to this country unless we are helped by God. And then the little thing we had remaining was our family. Because if it is corruption and fraud and all that, well, we are good people. We are nice people. But there are so many overwhelming evidences against us. And then now the little we have remaining is our families. And then we have allowed this guy to come take over our families and destroy them, make mess of them. Now, what the woman wants now is what the man can afford, not what he can truly offer as a person. It is, as a man, just know it's your responsibility 100% to provide for your family. I actually believe in that. And that is why when people make fun of me, now you remain. I say, now me remain for where? At home or anywhere. They just tell me, you're getting old. Man, if I can't provide for anybody, I'm not bringing them forth. I'm not even bringing them in. I know that it's my responsibility. You don't need to remind me. I know that, so that will always guide my decision or my choice. I'm not trying to discuss my personal affairs here, but I just want you to know that as an African man, you have the responsibility to provide for your family. But the problem is now that our women have lost it, that it is only materialism that attracts them. So what is the way forward? One, can we sit down and revisit our relationship and ask ourselves, what is the convenient principle for me? What is the convenient principle for you? Okay, if your perspective is better as an African, where do I stand to gain if I compromise? If your perspective is better as a West, if you choose that we are going to live as Western, and no, I'm not going to your family house to go and dobale idea or yiki, like my language people always do. You go there under the sun and be prostrating on the ground, putting your forehead on the ground. If that is what is convenient, you don't want me to show that respect to your family, fine. Let's go Western. Because our ladies say, it is a way of showing sign of respect. In fact, some ladies have even said that if the guy is not kneeling down to propose, they are not getting married to him. When did you arrive at that? Immediately the Western culture become what we fancy and follow. In total, without even seeking to understand the advantages or disadvantages, and whether it is deliberately crafted to destroy our own cultures and our values. So we must talk to each other and tell ourselves, what value system do I want to follow? Secondly, we must look and ask ourselves as individuals, my lifestyle right now, who I am, what I'm doing right now, how does it contribute to the growth of my culture, my country, and Africa at large? Because until we realize, because the African mind is currently going through serious crisis right now. Serious crisis. I remember some years ago when I was trying to speak my language with my younger brother, and a woman said, I heard you are going to the university. Yes, I said yes. And she was like, and then you speak your language throughout. I'm like, what? I'm not supposed to speak my language because, okay, I am now educated or what? She said, how is the guy going to learn how to speak English? I tell you something. When I left primary school, I didn't know how to speak English very well. And I'm not ashamed about it because in my neighborhood, we only speak my language and pidgin English. So I had to make personal effort to learn how to speak English in this manner. Until today, I still have problems because I'm still learning how to use English. And I know for my job, for me to survive in my career and my job, I need it. And that's why I'm doing it. But today, I thank God that I can speak my language. But a lot of children do not even have this opportunity because the African man is going through a lot of crisis. Is it with the leaders who are not willing to do anything to make the lives of the people better? Is it with the clash of idea or clash of culture that is ongoing around the globe, and then every other culture in the whole world is trying to eliminate the African culture? And this is what happened. The Indians, the Lebanese, wheresoever they go, you still see them together with their wives. In America, they are the biggest tech guys. Eating, what is this thing? Garlic. Wearing one shirt for 3-4 days. Their women are not complaining, they are still together because they understand the essence of culture and sticking together. But welcome to Africa, where we are so educated, we are woke, we are 21st century, and then nobody wants to stay for the other person, nobody wants to sacrifice. And I feel sorry to say that our African women, especially in Nigeria, have gone haywire, crazy with the whole European Western ideas. You talk about being anything that has to do with respect, regard for a man now. You are just the wrong person. You will lose your fellowship. So pastors, religious teachers, public speakers always tilt to the side of ladies because they all need fellowship. They fear to actually teach the right perspective when it comes to relationship responsibility and marriage responsibility for a man and a woman has engulfed everybody. If you want to just grow your social media handle right now, make a post talking about how women deserve everything in this world. The men should just become slaves and be at their command. So I think with this I've said a lot. I don't know if anybody has a question. I see a lot of people actually viewing these videos right now, watching in live right now. If you have a question you want to ask or you want to make a contribution, I really appreciate it. Meanwhile, this broadcast will be shared on my status and then also shared on YouTube. So you can go search Ayuba Michael and then you see this video there, and it will be carrying the same title just as the one on Facebook is carrying. So please, I want us to wake up to this reality. The African culture is being destroyed, and this conversation is not just a one-day conversation. It's a conversation that we must keep. You must share this video with other people so that they will realize that we are losing out. It is now time for an African man to sit down and re-strategize how to sustain his culture and how to sustain his family, because with what we have right now, our families will not move forward. I will tell you that I really appreciate those of us that have watched me from the beginning of this video and also to this time. I really appreciate you, and I thank you very much. It is time for us to actually wake up. Just in case you are just coming around and you were not with us from the beginning of this video, you can actually watch I will rebroadcast the video. I'll share it on my timeline and then maybe on another platform. Please do well to watch, and then so that you will get to understand what I was talking about. We must understand that some of these concepts are not meant to really liberate us. They are meant to destroy us. They are meant to control us. And I tell you, every part of the world is afraid of blacks now because of the strength and the population. So how do they control us? Whip and change will no longer work. All you need to do is to destroy the thinking process, is to alter the mind. Once you succeed in altering the mind, you are done with the African man. In fact, once you succeed in altering every mind, you are done with that person. So, thank you very much. I hope that this broadcast will drop a seed in your heart. I hope that it will touch you in such a way that you begin to revisit your values. And I want those of us that are actually online now to share these videos with your friend, to share this video with your friends, and then invite them. And I really want to see comments regarding what I've said. Do you think if we continue this direction, the African culture will be preserved? Do you think our family values will still be there? Do you think we will still have families? It seems like what is in the reign now, at one point, I think it was last year, everybody was proud to actually announce that they are a mother of two, they are a father of two, they are a father of one, and they are proud. But we know in our African perspective, this was not it. And anytime we talk about the African value, we are not even talking about issue of oppression, because I'm not even looking at the issue of oppression. In fact, I believe in the human rights to dignity of, I believe in dignity of human persons. Everybody deserves to be respected, whether they are rich, they are poor, they are women, they are children, whatnot. And that is why in my communication with whosoever at any point, I try to show them respect. Unless if they cross the line, where I have to draw their attention to the fact that no, I'm not going to tolerate this. But I try to be very respectful and formal in my approach with people. If we don't have any grounds for to be informal with each other. So we must wake up to these realities and tell ourselves that our family values are eroding, our culture are eroding, and our population is being controlled indirectly. I'm not telling you to go give birth to kids you can't take care of, but look at it very well. I'm not telling you to go do things you are not able to manage I actually said my personal opinion, actually, what I feel about marriage. But the two principles I gave are biblical and I believe them. And because they have been working. If a man loves his wife and his wife submits to him, good. If we are able to define upon which principles we want our relationship and marriage to work on, European principles, our cultural principles, or our biblical principles, because I even think our biblical principles are more closer compared to what we have in the West. They are what the West is trying to shove down our throat right now. So thank you very much, Suleiman Ayuba Michael. And I'm happy to actually come your way. I wish you a very wonderful weekend. And I hope you don't go spending all your money. I hope you don't go destroy your life weekend trying to do things you are not supposed to do because it's just the weekend. So I love you very much. And I really hope that we will sit down and think some of these things I've actually mentioned and talked about in this video and see how we can make progress as a people. I love you. Take care. Bye.